Jim Stevens.
Teresa Murphy.
Lisa Salvador.
Teresa Earles.
Denise Stevens.
I did the game.
That's fine. We're going to get started. Hitting a home run in the 9th inning to win the game. Making the last second jump shot to seal the other team's fate. Sacking the opposing team's quarterback on the last play of regulation as your team watches the final seconds tick off the clock. These are all powerful images that every young schoolboy, or girl for that matter, dreams of. To be a winner amongst peers and parents is a dream of most young adults. Are we as adults teaching them that winning is everything? It should start in the younger ages that trying one's best is the way to go. Simply playing the game as hard and as strongly as you can needs to be the emphasis. There is a clear need in this country to educate our youth. When players such as Alex Rodriguez take steroids, what kind of message is that sending to our children? Young people look up to our professional athletes. They always have and they always will. They will either end up on sports teams or think that it's okay to use steroids. Make no mistake that the list of players who are either accused of or even proven guilty of taking steroids includes such athletes as Jose Canseco, Roger Clemens, Mike Schmidt, and even Alex Rodriguez. This is not an epidemic that is restricted to baseball players, though. Baseball certainly gets the most attention for several reasons, not least of which is and historically lax drug testing policy that only recently has been able to be effective. Now you are subject to a 50-game suspension for a first offense, 100 games for the second offense, and indefinite suspension for the third offense. While this is great, some will argue that baseball is a day late and a dollar short with this testing. Baseball has only had this policy for less than a decade. Football players, on the other hand, are thought to be able to gain the most from taking steroids. This is because football players in particular rely on sheer strength. Most would agree that it is the primary thing gained by taking steroids. They too are now under much greater scrutiny. The reality is the NFL has had performance-enhancing drug testing since 1987, far longer than baseball, but a joke in most people's eyes all the same. The NFL has mandated that players who violate their drug testing policy for the first time be suspended for 4 games. Beyond that first 4-game suspension, things are left up to the commissioner to decide what should happen in addition to or in place of suspension. These sports figures are looked up to by our youth. Many teenage boys and girls are using steroids today. Wrestling, gymnastics, and football are just a few of the sports that young people could and do use steroids. They use a kind of steroid called anabolic steroids. These kinds of steroids make them grow faster. Anabolic steroids make your body more muscular. Steroids are a chemical shortcut to help you grow. The problem with them is that they can make you violent and very depressed. 1 in 15 teenagers is currently taking steroids. That adds up to over 500,000 teenagers. Here's a real story about a kid that took steroids. Michael was 15 years old, and he felt very small and weak compared to many other boys. He was picked on and teased by other kids. Being bullied for one's size could be a huge trigger for young adults to use steroids. He soon began to work out a lot. He lifted weights and watched what he ate and ran a lot. This would have been a great path for Michael to stay on. He built up his muscles, so when he was 16 years old, he weighed 165 pounds and was 5 feet 9 inches tall. However, this was not enough for Michael. He wanted to be bigger. That was when he found out about anabolic steroids and illegally bought some at a local gym. Parents might think that it is difficult for young people to find steroids. This is another misconception. If they want steroids, they can get them. Soon he weighed more than 195 pounds. He might have been happy with his size now, but things were soon going to turn bad for Michael. Because Michael took steroids, he had violent mood swings.